welcome to another return to Bad Guy Reviews, where good movies rise and bad ones burn. I know it's been 2 months, but shop. At this point, just shop. I'm not good at uploading videos and shit. Let me do this shit whenever I want to. Okay? Like, I just, had to. Or I wanted to do this sometime soon, but I wasn't ready to do it yet. But yeah, here we are. So if you remember 2 months ago, I reviewed one of my favorite childhood classics, Fred the movie. Now, yeah, some people think it's horseshit and such. At least that's what the critic says, and to that I say, fuck you all. But now we're gonna take a look at my favorite one of my favorite Fred movies of the trilogy, Fred 2, Night of the Living Fred. Yes, that is a straight up reference to the whole Night of the Living Dead movie. So yeah, basically you're gonna, because, but yeah, I should get on with the review, right? Because if I'm being honest, there's not a lot to say. Like, yeah, like the movie, like I'll probably tell you what the movie's about, but yeah. So Fred's back for another movie that came out in 2012. Oh, and he was getting ready for Halloween. However, things get scary when he finds out about a certain neighbor that moved in. Who is this? Who is he? Well, let's find out as we dig into Fred 2, Night of the Living Fred, and show you how kid crazy it can get for a Fred movie. So the movie begins with an organ piano playing some opening credits until Fred comes into his house, scared as shit, and talking about how people will be scared and scarred, and even try spelling out as one word, like as in scared, but yeah, that won't work. And after the title card, Fred decided to, I think, as what it looks like, a peanut butter and jelly Twinkie, I think, but I could be wrong. But then he talks about what the hell happened when we last left him, and mentions Judy. However, shockingly, Fred said that he dumped Judy. And it weirdly shows a black and white footage of Fred breaking up with Judy, quote unquote. Well, yeah, just because he's going to war, but that's not that, because we then see Judy's face, which turned out to not be Judy, but Fred again. Yep, Judy is not in the movie. Why? Well, apparently from the comment I've heard, Judy's actor, Pixie Lott, opted not to reprise her role, and her agency didn't allow her to appear in any future Fred movies. So yes, y'all, she won't be in this, nor Camp Fred. Which sucks, because honestly, I wanted to see where this relationship could go. But yeah, then he talks about his music teacher named Mrs. Felsen, who apparently was a sweet old lady. And he even had a kid named Tuffins who was messing with her hearing aids. Because yes, the whole thing is she's deaf. But then one day, she wasn't there. But then out come a strange gentleman named Mr. Devlin, who is gonna be the new music teacher, and even then has a tagline line called, which is "Join the world with music." Though the random thing is, like, if you're curious, basically she passed away. That's all I can think of. Okay, she passed away because hello, people, it's an old lady. But after Fred talked it with him, he felt creeped out about it. But on the way home, he then gets followed by a mysterious little girl who he never met before. And I'll admit, this is the only thing I think Fred was stupid about, but he think he was being stalked by her, but he was not. So he ran all the way home, and but as he got near his home, he noticed that Mr. Devlin is moving into his own to the house next door, which led up to the opening hall. Which ironically, when after Fred said he was so scared, the scene stopped, and then the real Fred came into the end the story there. But yeah, that. But then, and we get, but then, and another scene goes on, and we get a return of Bertha, played by Deanne Monet from Victorious. Okay, I'll admit, I did not knew that Jeanette McCurry got recast in that role, but then again, knowing her life before she finally broke the chain and became free, you know. But yeah. And is she a bad birth actor? Nah. I just didn't realize that they recast her until now. And yes, no joke. At the time of this recording, I have just found out that. I am as surprised as all of you Gen Zs. But anyways, then they noticed the same little girl from on the other day. And Fred was nervous about it, so Bertha teased him by thinking he's scared, but he tries to convince her she's not until Talia gets close to him, and they end up little girl and until the girl comes up to Fred. But as they talk, we find out that this little girl is named Talia. Yeah. But after later on we cut to class where we also get the return of Kevin, who thankfully he ain't recast. And he was playing this one song, like I can't remember what it was, but I know it had a lyric that says "Everybody have fun tonight" or something like that. And Mr. Devlin then later announced that he'll do a music recital. However, but then in a very strange way, which I'll admit I kind of forgot about this thing, but then it cuts to like a daydream that Fred's having, where he's facing Kevin in a piano contest. Yes, and they both keep on playing their pianos over and over and over again on the same note until Kevin, no joke, well no, his piano blows up actually into pieces, and he ends up uh, uh, and he ends up winning, and yeah, and he tries playing a song but fails miserably, because his buddy, her his favorite teacher wasn't there anymore now. But yeah, and later on, Talia and Fred walk home together, and for some completely random reason, Talia gave Fred a cookie of his face, which I'll admit, yes, it kind of looked like the one from his classic T-shirt. And Fred was still confused. He was wondering what the what saw that, and tries predicting of what Talia could be, even at one point thinking that she's a ghost. But then he sees the ghost Talia and tries to pretend that she died because she shot till he dropped. Yes, I know that is the most oldest line in the book, but you can't. But then again, and people in 2012 probably don't remember that. However, he tries hugging the quote-unquote ghost, and ends up falling over on the stick, over the balcony, and the stick nearby the stairs, and landing on the bottom stairs. Then they get a doorbell, and it comes in Kevin's mom, who invited Fred and his mom to Kevin's little party that he's having. And Fred was pretty pissy about it. So what does he do? He ends up going to the kitchen for some reason, but when he opens the fridge, out comes my favorite character of all, Fred's dad, played by John fucking Cena, baby! And this was during his purple and yellow attire, by the way. And when he gave him advice, Ison said she went back in, but Fred opens right back up, and Cena did the "you can't see me" line, because why? I know. Which Fred actually responded to it and said, yeah, I can, but he also gave him a sunny D since he needed a drink. And then later that night, Fred and his mom went to the party, and there was Kevin playing the piano of the same song for the second time. And if y'all don't like that specific song that I don't know, I forgot, but again, it's Everybody Have Fun Tonight. I know that was part of the lyrics, but the pain in the ass thing is that it's definitely gonna come back for the third time. You won't know when, but trust me, you'll know. So eventually Fred's mom, Mr. Devlin, ends up chatting, and Fred's mom actually ends up falling for him. Which, yes, was kind of weird. But after Kevin, Fred encounter him and bully stuff, then eventually Talia comes by and chats with Fred. But then Kevin drops a bombshell. And that's that Talia is his little sister. Was Fred pissed? Yeah. But he was surprised, Eh? So eventually he tried getting advice from his dad about that, but he was not in the fridge anymore. Which that leads me to still continues on with my theory that Fred possibly still doesn't know about his dad. And when his mom tries convincing her like she was a strong man, that's what he pictured. John Cena says, "Hello, people. Cena's a strong man." But then he tries convincing something about Mr. Devlin, and by using a set of scrambles to like spell out the word Devlin, and then taking out the end and take out the word in to make devil. So yes, I think at first he could be a devil. So he plans on spying on Mr. Devlin tonight at 10:30 at night, which Fred thinks is the middle of the night, but no, it ain't. God, I forgot how Fred was kind of dumb throughout this movie. So, so what did he do? So what did he do for his plan? Put on the quote-unquote invisibility cloak, aka the camo poncho from the first movie. Then does the saying you can't see me line because why not? So then, and he uses an inflatable chair, and yes, I know that sounds weird, and tries looking over the neighbors. And what he saw was Mr. Devlin and digging up a hole which looked like a grave site until he noticed this unfamiliar cat, that being Mrs. Felson's cat. And yeah, he started thinking that he could, have killed her, but she wasn't sure. So he ends up making pancakes, but then ends up with the weirdest little hallucination I have ever seen in my life. And that's Mrs. Felson popping out of a pancake just to convince Fred that Mr. Devlin is fucking evil or something like that. Yes, it is weird. You're just weird, and yet my young ass just like, yeah. But anyways, so the next day, Fred was chatting with Bertha, and he starts thinking that maybe Mr. Devlin's alien. Lo and behold, Mr. Devlin pops up and mentions that he is an alien. Yeah. And he actually revealed his real identity, which was a man scale from the planet Man scale. Was it weird? Yeah. But then things get straight up gory, where I kid you not, the man scale sucks all of Fred's blood. So much so, he inflated like one of those Capri Sun commercials, like that one Capri Sun commercial where one character becomes a flat pancake. But lo and behold, another daydream for this dumbass goofball. Slash YouTuber. Then he, on the way home, he spots on Mr. Devlin doing something at someone's house. but ends up encountering with Talia again, and she mentions that she actually has seen Fred before, but Fred hasn't seen her. Why? I don't know. But she does watch Fred get bullied a lot with Kevin, including last Halloween apparently, which I can understand. Which I can see, and then that's why I not understand. I don't know why I said that. But hell, if I was her, I would just gone to his house and apologize on behalf of his brother, if I'm being honest. Since, she's not a dick. So he goes home and eats some cereals, which, I kid you not, might be a parody of Count Dracula. Yeah. Bassy chat asks about the vampire cereal box. He then comes to one epic, utterly conclusion. Which is because due to seeing Mr. Devlin have an umbrella in the sunlight, burying stuff in his backyard, and for some reason, Kevin's new haircut that he got, I don't know why he put that with it, but okay. And suggests that maybe Mr. Devlin is in fact a vampire. And he knows that other people can become vampires just like a regular vampire would. Don't believe me? Watch the shit ton of vampire movies we made for the past 100 years. Including Black, yo. Seriously, you need to watch that movie, cause y'all are sleeping on it. Then we get a daydream, which, yes, is clearly a reference to Twilight, which I think is funny. We see Mr. Devlin, Kevin, and many of the other vampires coming out in the woods. And Fred is standing by a truck. With muscular abs for some reason. And they show up that they also had Talia. Yeah, but out of fear, Talia runs up to Fred and Fred runs to her. But again, a reference to Twilight, but in a different twist, because I kid you not, as she went around Fred jumps up and transforms into a dog. And no, not coyote, not husky wolf or husky dog, just some tiny little dog. Here, I'll have to show you, because I don't know what breed I could, Yeah. It looks like this, basically. Yes. That is literally the scene from Fred 2. And of course, the vampires laugh at it because they think it's a big fat joke, which I don't blame him. But then Fred jumps onto Kevin's neck by it, and everyone screams and panic, and I think some of it begins the wrong way. But yeah, and he does find some vampire fun fact during that whole daydream. But then he gets a doorbell ring from someone, and Fred's mom asks him to let the person in. Who is it? Mr. Devlin, of course. Oh no! But yeah. But yeah, if you can't tell, Mr. Devlin and Fred's mom are actually going on a date. Is it weird? Kinda. So, Fred decided that he'll have to go incognito on the whole thing and bring Bertha on because why the fuck not? However, when Talia decides to sneak in and disguise herself as a waiter, Fred meanwhile ends up in an accidental misunderstanding, ends up of cooking at the place. Is it weird? Kinda. But then one chef actually dares his ass to cook something and that he can make good. Or wait, hold on. I messed it up, sorry. I meant to say that Fred said that he's actually a really good chef. Which says that, and 2026 me, he says, good luck, dude, because we have Gordon Ramsay in this world, and I bet you he will probably make you cry. Yeah, I really think so. It's so funny to think that. But then another worker was like, yeah, well, what about my sock? Yes, he dared Fred to cook a piece of sock and try making it good. So Fred then starts chopping up lettuce, onions, and a montage along with me. Smash some jelly beans for some reason. But when he gets to the tomatoes, he pretends that he actually cut off his finger, but was spraying the workers with it. So eventually Bertha makes an order with them. And at one point, Mr. Devlin talks about like he wanted something meat or something like that, but mentions that he wanted like blood tasting or something like that. I know I've mentioned blood, but yeah, that is weird. But back to Fred, because then he starts stuffing the sock up with the pickles, jelly beans, lettuce, and dipping in cheese. And then starts rubbing the crisps on it, I think. Which, yes, basically, I think he's gonna deep fry it. But when he mentions about, oh wait, no, yeah, he actually not crisp. I meant sprinkles, not crisps. And yes, I know this is clearly gross, but trust me, I bet you Dan Schneider probably put a little bit of his dirty little perverted kinky fingers on this good movie. Eventually, we asked while the sock is deep fried. Alright, Bertha pretends to order and such, and tries overhearing Mr. Devlin and Fred's mom, and he overhears how Mr. Devlin, like, he thinks he's gonna like sucking the blood out of the kids or something like that, which, yes, sounds totally creepy because, mind you, he's a grown ass music teacher. Ew! Back to Fred. So finally, for the cherry on top of his disgusting food, he puts chocolate and whipped cream in the meal. And grossly, he realized it does taste like a sock. So basically, he likes it. Dan Schneider, if you wrote this scene, go to hell. Just go to hell. You may miss our childhood, but you tarnish others. So go to hell. Go to fucking hell. Anyways, then another Bertha mentions the whole thing. The whole sucking life out of the kids thing. And Fred realized they had to go. So they went back outside to their bicycle, which for some reason Fred had an anchor to just to park the damn thing. And she paid Fred some money after that whole incognito thing or what, something like something. But Fred and Mr. Devlin and was nearly getting home, or was near the house, so Fred and Bertha tried to talk about what they could do next, but they also decided to leave the Fred cycle, which, yes, I remember just now that was called the Fred cycle. Yes, people, they may sound weird, but then again, a Playboy billionaire once called his vehicle the Batmobile. Do you not think that's as weird as the Fred cycle? Like, I could possibly look up other cartoon shows that might have weird vehicle names. And they can be just as weird as the Fred cycle. But yeah. So eventually Fred gets home in a mere seconds as Fred's mom came inside. And they chat for a little bit, but then she goes to bed, since it was late. But then the next scene, Fred in his pajamas decided to look to see what Mr. Devlin is doing now that night. So he stakes half of his body out the window using a rope as well so he can not fall out the window, and use binoculars to work. And next thing you know, he sees Mr. Devlin with an apron on and a bloody knife, which was probably from Bloody Me or something. But then she see something that looked like Mrs. Felson's jacket that she once wore, but he wasn't sure. But then, and he looks back at Mr. Devlin, and there might have been a chance he caught his ass. But he screamed and ends up falling. And he panicked a little bit, needing to get out of here. But then someone grabbed him and picked him up, which was Fred's dad. And he tells him that he needs his help on something. And they had to face an enemy together. And what comes next, what could be one of No. I'll go on my grades with this scene. But this is, I kid you not, my most favorite Fred scene of all time from the trilogy. I don't care if y'all have a favorite, this one is mine. Next thing you know, Fred's dad push Fred out onto, no joke, WWE SmackDown, where they were about to wrestle. And yes, y'all, Cena and Fred did the entire entrance that John Cena does in WWE. Is it funny? Yeah, because come on, it's WWE for crying out. Wow. Like, yes, I get it. It was made in the PG era. But fuck you, this was great. Anyways, though the ring announcer was different, by the way, because it was not by Justin Roberts or Lillian Garcia at the time. However, in a coincidence, their opponents is Mr. Devlin and Kevin. But for some odd reason, their theme song is the Brood theme song. Which, yes, I understand why it is, since, the Brood are vampires too. And yeah, they did, have their own wrestling attire for some reason. And Cena and Mr. Devlin started off, but then it became a tornado tag team match. Which, Fred and Mr. Devlin was having a decent looking matchup, while Kevin, he mostly dominated, even though Fred got one offense, but still. But unfortunately, it ended with Kevin throwing Fred out of the ring, and he went all the way straight to his bed. Which sucks because, yes, that was another day stream. And it was bullshit because I want to know who won the match. Hell, I think there was even behind the scenes footage that I saw on YouTube of this exact match and all. And yeah, so Fred goes to bed, but as he turned off the lights and lay down, he heard a pfft from him falling to the wrestling ground. To the ground area, man. And the bell rang apparently. But yeah, I don't know if it was Fred and Cena won, but yeah. So the next day, Bertha and Fred went to school and talked about what they learned about how from the day, Oh my God. It's not easy wearing glasses while wearing a mask because you can get air sucked in. Like, seriously, I need to find a fucking life hack that can stop this shit. No, that will make it worse. No. Fuck it. So anyways, Mr. Devlin came by and asked for both Bertha and Fred's blood. But Fred was treating him like an enemy and asked why. And he mentioned that it was for a blood drive. Yep. A blood drive. So then, and and on the way home, Talia and Fred chat and such. But Talia also shows that she made sock puppets of both her and Fred. Because why not? But then it was revealed that even she was getting piano lessons with Mr. Deadwood. Which, yeah, did sell Fred because, she was being kind to her. And yeah. But then Fred's dad comes out of the back through and gave him the motivation to go get to try I seeing Bertha will help him on taking out the vampire. But then to his surprise, even she was getting piano lessons with Mr. Deadwood. Which really sets up Fred so much that he knew he'll have to do this on his own. So he decided to go get a really big cross. But for some stupid reason, it's the yellow sign with the cross plus looking sign. Type of street sign. Which, no, y'all, that is not the cross that the internet was referring to. They were mentioning Jesus' cross. However, to his surprise, another person from the last movie comes back, which was Durf. And no joke, Durf actually came back, which surprised me. But they chat. But then Durf sees a cop coming up to them because of Fred stealing the whole thing. And he runs off. And yeah, but I don't know what will Durf do next in this movie. Wait, what? He doesn't show back up again? Nor in the third? What the fuck? But yeah. Okay, so in the next scene, he goes to China Star restaurant to get some garlic. Or no, garlic sauce, I meant. Garlic sauce. That was what he get, along with noodles. But then he gets a free fortune cookie. Fortune cookie, but it ends up saying your neighbor is a vampire. And he runs off scared because of it. Which the female Chinese worker was kind of weirded out and thinks that he was weird. Which I don't blame him. Or her, I meant. But late that night, Fred's mom went to his side while Fred was getting ready to fight the vampire situation, but eventually Fred goes to the rehearsal event, and where, of course, once again, Kevin was doing that party on tonight or something like that. Party on tonight or something like that song, which I told you would have come back later in the movie. So then Fred goes up to Mr. Devlin and tries to confront him, but while Fred's mom is trying to argue with him that he ain't a vampire and all. But then So Fred gave them one proof on how to show it off by giving by showing them a mirror. And Fred's mom sees herself, but not on Mr. Devlin. And eventually it was revealed that Kevin, in fact, was a vampire too. So Kevin tries jumping on or flying towards someone, but then Fred uses his water gun to spray at him, which he realizes is garlic sauce, and he pops. And yeah, that's just it. Like, he pops. But then Mr. Devlin when grabs Talia to use her as a shield, but so he decided, so he had no choice but to surrender a water gun, or the garlic sauce gun is what I'm gonna call it, right at him. But then next thing you know, he pulls out another one, and Talia ducks. He sprays the garlic sauce at Mr. Devlin, and they think the day is safe. However, unfortunately, this was all a daydream because the driver snaps him out of it. And basically, what really happened was him just basically spraying everyone with garlic sauce. So, even Talia, which makes her stop talking to Fred and all. And yeah, he knew that he needed another way to stun the yeah. So eventually, but then Frank is bullied by Kevin and Mr. Devlin and comes down to stop them, and he actually invites Fred over for dinner that night. So what does Fred do? Straight up live streams the whole thing. Yes, this was basically invasion of property, for crying out loud. Fred could have gone to fucking jail. So yeah, he goes to his house and shows off what was in Devlin's house, which makes it look creepy to people that were watching this online. Which, by the way, apparently Fred has an entire website in this universe. Because apparently YouTube does not it did. Maybe this was before he became a YouTuber. I don't know, but yeah. And some people were getting grossed out by the creepy shit, but it was only Kevin and one of his friends. That was the only two people that watched it, but people would. And then Mr. Dillon finds him later on and gets him to help out on, Oh wait, there was actually a third person that watched it, but I forgot which one of it was. But yeah, and he finds more creepy stuff here and there, and it gets like pretty nuts. But then it gets worse. Whereas after he ends up encountering with a bat, and then and somehow activating a secret door, which led him to a meat room that he has, which has a bunch of meat, but of course, the streamers thought it was actually meat. And everyone was watching it with disgust, but everyone noticed that the lights came on the hallway and a figure was coming up to the door. And everyone, at first, and they all panicking, telling him to get out of there. But then they saw Fred, or Mr. Devlin, looking like a vampire, which looks like this, but this was actually the last shot they saw before Fred accidentally dropped the GoPro cam in the boiling pot, or whatever it is. Sorry, I know it's not a pot or a pan, but giant bowl, whatever. I forget shit sometimes. Sorry, but yeah. And that alone finally convinced them to stop doing piano music with Mr. Devlin. And they then believed Fred. However, after they eat kimchi, kimchi or whatever the food's called, Mr. Devlin actually convinced Fred that he is in fact not a vampire at all. Oh. However, the next day, everybody thanked him and also praised him over how good the live stream was and all. Though, I'll tell you, yeah, even believed it too somehow. But Fred now felt bad about what he did because over a misunderstanding. So after school, he tries going to his house where he was in there, but they answered because he was watching Fred's stream. Fucking yikes. But yeah, then he started noticing how much views he got. But then and Bertha gets a video calls him and that Mr. Devlin's actually leaving town. And Fred feel more guilty. But was heartbroken that Mr. Devlin was sleeping home. So they probably broke up, but who knows? But then Fred decides to try going with another idea. And that trade the lie to him, where they people can believe that he's the vampire and not Mr. Devlin. So Bertha and Fred get on their fright cycle and they set up like a little set up some fake blood and some vampire stuff and some props they'll need. But then comes in tell. Oh yeah. Yeah, to like to help out with them, and which at first Fred didn't want to for some reason, which was stupid. But then, but Bertha suggests that they should, so Fred agreed. Later on, Kevin's mom told him that he'll need to go get his sister, have her and babysit his sister that night. Which he reluctantly agrees. Well, and meanwhile, Fred, Bertha, and Talia was finishing the final touches while Fred was getting dressed into the vampire. Meanwhile, Kevin tries looking for Mr. Devlin, but thinks that Mr. Devlin has her. Was gonna have her for a type of meat. So he gets his friends to try going after him. And once they get to Mr. Devlin's house, as they was ready to go after him, but Bertha wanted them to go and acted like Fred was a vampire and he was doing his hardest to carry her all the way to a bed that he was gonna bite her neck at, quote unquote. So Bertha convinced Kevin to go kill Fred instead. Having the chest hard with it, because yes, that's the only way to kill a vampire, and that's to kill it with the wooden stake. And Bertha is telling him to go do it, while pushing him closer and closer, and yet once they was close, Fred hisses at him, and he straight up stabs him in the chest. Then Fred starts spraying out water, blood out of his chest, and was slowly dying. All of Fred's friends started screaming and running away, but Kevin stands there watching this whole thing go on, and Fred just dies there. And Kevin was excited that he killed him, but he slowly realized that he might have killed his arch enemy. So he slowly goes up to him and to try touching him, but then he scares him and all the way home. And yes, y'all, if I'm being honest, this was kind of over the top because of the whole doing the stab thing in a PG movie. Unless it was PG-13, then okay, that makes more sense. But yeah, but after they were all gone, they all celebrated that they convinced them that Fred's the vampire and all. But as the girls celebrated, Fred looked at Mr. Devlin, in which I don't. He didn't say anything, but he did like just give him a nod, I think. Then Fred goes to the kitchen and gets something to eat, which then we see John Cena one last time. I'm as he gave him a sunny D, he of being proud of him. However, despite he did help convince people Mr. Devlin's not a vampire, Mr. Devlin decided to just still leave. Because he decided to move on and such. So after he leaves, we then get another one more scene for Bertha. As Fred and Bertha chat about the vampire and they even see Talia one last time for the movie. And both Fred and they even talk about the vampire thing, which he shows up by scaring Kevin. And for fun. But then it cuts to Fred playing a piano with a familiar music, but I can't remember what it was called. But yeah, he played it earlier when you're in the beginning of the movie. When he talks about Mrs. Felson's, and then Fred Mons comes in and ready for another date because he found another person to date because he was back in a relationship with Mr. Devlin. However, right before the movie ends, Fred noticed the mirror and Mr. Devlin's eye reflection was not there as he goes to close the door. And the movie ends with Fred screaming, knowing that Mr. Devlin was a vampire all along, but the audio was replaced with a rock and roll version of the song that Fred plays. The movie is somewhat good. It's good, and this was my favorite movies of the trilogy. And yeah, it had good, funny humor, some down moments I didn't like, and one of my greatest moments I did like. But since we now went to the two good ones, I am so ready to take down this disappointing movie, but now we go to the third and most disappointing movie of the three. On the next episode of the Bye Guy Reviews, we review Fred 3 Camp Fred. Thank you for watching, and please help me God.